Hey folks, it's spring of 2020 and I'm remaking this video about how to select wood for your ukulele to reflect kind of the species I have on hand and my values right now. If you're watching this video, it might be because you have an instrument on order with me. I'm gonna help you decide what to do. Now, to begin with, one of the best things you can do is to just tell me the sound you want and let me pick woods. Or you can also go through the gallery on our website, which has a few hundred instruments on it, and look around and say like, well, yeah, I really like how number 361 sounds and looks. Can you make one like that? Or you could say like, oh, well, I really want a dark sound and I want a tenor and I like the fretboard on that one. And you know, those kind of things where you give me a few bits of input and then just trust that I'll make it right for you is my favorite way to do it. It's kind of like sitting down at the chef's table in the kitchen and just trusting that what you're gonna get is gonna be good for you. So to keep in mind though, we've got two paths to go down here for building a ukulele. The traditional way to build a ukulele was all one wood for the top, back, and sides. That would be like, you know, traditionally it might have been koa or mahogany. So that's one sound and look. That's what most of us are used to seeing with a ukulele, like a darker wood that's top, back, and sides. And it's got that traditional ukulele sound. That's the first way to do it. The other way to do it, we'll call that like the island way. The other way we could do it is to have a softwood top with a hardwood back and sides. Why do we do that? Well, that's like how violins and guitars have been made for several hundred years. So a softwood pumps more, vibrates more, and the harder back and sides reflects better. Where the island way is we pick a medium density wood that does all jobs pretty good. The mainland way would be soft top, hard back and sides. That also is a great sound. It's got, I think, a little more volume and sustain, a little more color, warmth, and depth, but the traditional way is not bad at all. If we're talking about the whole spectrum of the world of how things sound, these two different approaches in my ukuleles would be still very close together. It's still gonna sound like a bean sprout. But that's your first big decision. All one wood or softwood, top, hardwood, back and sides. That's up to you. Now, the other thing is I can just recommend right off the bat 3 setups that are my favorite 3. And then we'll start showing more species of wood. My 3 favorite setups are, number 1, all myrtle. Myrtle for top, back, and sides. That myrtle's from the Oregon coast. It ranges from light tan to dark brown with every green you can imagine in between. It's very beautiful, very easy for me to get with a small ecological footprint, and I love it. So all myrtle would be my number 1 choice. Another top choice would be walnut back and sides with Port Orford cedar top. I've made tons of those and they always sound good. That's a very good balanced mid-range sound. It's got a little bit of this and a little bit of that, very balanced. And then my 3rd favorite right now would be spruce top, maple back and sides. That's what a violin is usually made from. That's like what arch top guitars are made from. So spruce top, maple back and sides. So these are my top 3, all myrtle, Porterford cedar with a walnut back and sides, or spruce top with maple back and sides. Now I'm gonna lower the camera. I'm gonna start showing you some wood so you can see the aesthetics of what I'm talking about. Never quite done it this way, so we'll see if this is gonna work or not. And I've got some solvent here in a rag so I can wipe woods sometimes so you can see what they look like. So to begin with, traditional ukulele wood, that's koa. I can still get this, and I've stockpiled this, I can still get this pretty sustainably. So that's traditional koa wood. That is always going to be an upcharge because koa is so rare and hard to get now. I charge anywhere from $100 to $500 extra for koa, depending on how amazing the set is. This would be like curly koa, like 3A koa. It'd be an upcharge for sure. Love koa top, back, and sides. Another similar one to koa for that traditional look and sound would be mahogany. So this is what tons of Martin's instruments were made out of, and lots of other mainland builders. I only use salvaged mahogany, stuff I found from other sources. I rip out a lot of like architectural work and old panels and old doors and whatever, and old furniture, cut-offs from furniture makers. I love an all mahogany ukulele. Another wood that you can do for one wood top, back, and sides is sycamore. This is gonna be a light butterscotch color. That's a American wood I can find very easily, and it's just got a lot of sustainable sourcing for it. Sycamore, top, back, and sides. And then, of course, I'll show you some myrtle. This would be some nice curly myrtle that's not too crazy. And then I'll show you, I also have master grade myrtle, which would be myrtle that is not only curly, but exceptionally unique in color variation. This one's a little rough sanded, so it's hard to see. But this is an example of like how crazy, find a better panel. This is rough sawn, it's hard to get a good look to it. Let's try this one. Master grade myrtle is one of my most popular woods. People love the craziness. Yeah, so master grade myrtle is an upcharge. So those are the woods we can do for one wood top, back, and sides. That was koa, mahogany, sycamore, and myrtle. I have plain versions of all those woods, and I have super fancy if we want to upgrade. Now let's talk about soft tops and hard back and sides. When it comes to soft tops, we will start with the softest, darkest tone and go on up. This is Western Red Cedar. It's got that dark red stripy color. This is a great top wood. It sounds awesome, but it's not for a hard strummer. A hard strummer or somebody who hits the top of their ukulele all the time will scratch this badly. We could do a pick guard with it, a clear plastic pick guard or a wooden pick guard though. I love the sound and look of Western Red Cedar, but if you are a clumsy player, this wood is not for you. So, and then the next one up on the scale would be, where's my fir? That's, aha. Reclaimed old growth Douglas fir. This is another favorite of mine. It's a little brighter and a little dustier sounding than the Western Red Cedar, but it does have a darker look to it. I love this old fir. It's what I do a lot of my necks out of too. I get a lot of this reclaimed salvage material from old houses and stuff. Okay, the middle of the road, most balanced top wood would be Port Orford cedar. This is technically, it's a cypress tree. It's from the Oregon coast. This stuff here is, got some little dark streaks in it, but Port Orford cedar is generally this kind of like creamy butterscotch color, usually pretty simple looking. This is a very balanced top wood, one of my favorites. Lovely to work with. And we also can get fancier with curly Port Orford cedar as an upcharge. So if you want something a little less plain, stuff with flames and curls in it, curly Port Orford cedar. As we work our way up on the brightness factor, brightness scale, I've got my wide growth Oregon spruce. Comes from Camp West Wind. Even though it's got wide grain, I've been able to use it on uke tops very well. And then we've got some tight grain spruce. This is old 1960s Alaskan spruce. Remember I was saying spruce and maple is one of my favorite. And we also, for spruce, you can upcharge for a fancier look. This is called bear claw spruce. Let's see if I can get it to show without finish. This one's got a little bear claw in it. It's just a nickname for these wavy figures in it. So people who want this is just gonna sound the same as any other spruce, but it's just got these wavy figures in it to look fancier. That's why it's an upcharge. So for the softwoods, in order from darkest to brightest, we've got Western Red Cedar, Douglas fir, Port Orford cedar, wide grain spruce, tight grain spruce. And all of those sound awesome. Just a reminder, red cedar ukes, you can't be too hard of a strummer or you're going to scratch it up. Have to put a pick guard on it. Okay, backs and sides. Now we want a good hardwood for this job because hardwood will reflect the sound. And I don't want to use tropical woods, so I've got a lot of domestic woods here. First of all, I opened up these panels of maple. I forgot I had these. These are awesome. Look, it's got spalting in it. Some weird colors and figures. Someone's got to order this maple. Look at this. So maple is a favorite. This one's got lots of different colors in it. But usually maple's kind of a butterscotch blonde look to it. This one's a little extra colorful. Maple is great back and sides. Another one that's not quite as hard would be cherry. You've seen probably cherry cabinets and stuff in your life. This is another sustainable wood. I can get this from my area, from orchards and other wild cherry trees. Looks and sounds really good. Cherry is great for ukes. I also have been using a lot of curly oak. Oak has got a good, it's a nice hard wood and it really reflects sound well. They made oak guitars a lot in the late 19th century. I think oak sounds a little dustier than maple. I like that dustier sound. It's got a little kind of old-timey vibe to it. That's some curly red oak right there. Of course, we have to mention, you know, pistachio for back and sides. You know, we use pistachio for a lot of fretboards, head plates, and other stuff. Pistachio looks really good for backs and sides, and it works pretty well too, but I find it a little too heavy for a ukulele. So it is a good sound reflector, and it looks very unique, but it makes the whole instrument feel a little heavy. So, you know, for what that's worth. And then my last back and sides wood I want to show you, of course, is walnut. I use tons of walnut, Oregon walnut, black walnut, some English walnut. There's a lot of it in the state of Oregon, and it's very easy to sustainably harvest this wood. This one's a good example of where it's got some cool sapwood colors in it. So this is the like normal kind of plain walnut for me. And then also I get a lot of like curly master grade upgraded walnut, which we have to charge a little bit extra money for. And what's different about a piece like this is not only does it have unique color variations, but it has flame and curl going through it. This one came from Gunstocks, an old Gunstock blend. So walnut, that's like one of my absolute favorites. So if that's not enough, if that's not too much information already, I'll review. Either pick one wood for top, back, and sides, or pick a soft top with a hardwood back and sides. The one woods that can be for top, back, and sides are koa, mahogany, myrtle, and sycamore. All of those also can be back and side woods with a soft top. Soft tops, Western Red Cedar, Douglas Fir, Porterford Cedar, or Spruce. Back and side woods, we've got the ones we listed before, koa, mahogany, myrtle, sycamore, and then add on walnut, pistachio, oak, cherry, maple. That's a lot of flavors, and so it might be good for you to just tell me what sound you want and what general look you like and let me recommend. But I have so much beautiful wood. I'm proud of the people who harvest it and saved it over the years. I'm proud of where it comes from. I'm proud of the people who mill it. Almost 90% of this wood is American or Canadian wood, West Coast wood. Almost all of it is from someone I know. If I am using a tropical wood like mahogany, it's salvaged wood. If I'm using any wood from the islands like koa, it came from the islands in a way that I know is sustainable. Koa is a precious natural resource, and I'm not interested in cutting down any more koa trees. But I know where some people have some stuff squirreled away. So I feel like I'm making good decisions about that. And I don't have to use wood from Africa or South America to make something beautiful. We can use what's here in our area. So great. Send me an email, info@thebeansprout.com if you have questions. I look forward to helping you with wood selection for your instrument. Cheers.